Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Flagburg deck profile for March 2024. Following suit with a lot of other decks that I've been updating, wanted to update the Flagburg deck as one of my, most fun Stoichia decks that I go for with its powerhouse Vanguard playstyle, and with the new 54 card, format change where you have to have 4 cards in the ride deck and 50 cards in the main deck to be able to play the deck. And since I haven't actually updated the deck since Dragon Tree Invasion, I feel some updates were due with some of the newer support we got since then. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. Our starter is Office Cadet Chericles. When rode upon, if you want second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Inroad Shooter. When rode upon by Ascendance Assault, call this card to rear guard, giving you a grade 1 with setup on the rear guard because you want to have a good variety of rear guards on your rear guard circles to be able to use. And if your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon, Flagburg Dragon, or Ascendance Assault, this unit gets Intercept and plus 2,000. So it's a rear guard you could even potentially move up to a front row Vanguard circle to be able to attack against your opponent and then also be able to intercept with. Since both of our Vanguards afterwards will either be Ascendance Assault, you may pay the reveal of a Flagship Dragon, Flagburg, or Inroad Shooter from your hand by revealing it. And then for this cost, when this card is rode upon, you can Soul Blast 1 other than this card and call this card to rear guard. So you can just reveal the other card in your hand instead of having to pay the Soul Blast cost. And on rear guard, once per turn, when your other rear guard attacks the Vanguard, if your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon Flagburg, counter plus 1, and stand this unit, giving you the cost needed to be able to have the multiple attacks to be able to utilize your main grade 3, which is Flagship Dragon Flagburg Dragon, on top of the 1 copy run in the ride deck. We also run 3 copies of this card in the main deck as well. On the Vanguard circle, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, counter plus 1, and perform all the volume according to the number of attacks you made this turn. If it's 3 or more, you draw a card. 4 or more, your opponent chooses 2 rear guards and retires them. 5 or more, until the end of that battle, this unit gets plus 10,000. And when your opponent would call cards from their hand to the guard circle, they must call 3 or more at the same time. So an immense pressure, especially if you Persona Ride, because then you want to go for the potential to get a critical off of the drive check and just make it all the more difficult for your opponent to be able to guard against this attack. So along with that, we also just need some additional grade 3 backup support. So 3 copies of our Empyrean Blue Dragon, Shelling Cannon Dragon. From the back row center rear guard at the beginning of your battle phase, if your Vanguard's Flagship Dragon, Flagburg Dragon, and your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, you can counter plus 1 till the end of turn. This unit can attack from the back row and get plus 10,000 power. So just another way to perform an additional attack with the back row center rear guard. And on the back row center rear guard, if you would move or swap this unit during your main phase, you can also move it within the same row. So just another additional way to move this card out of the back row center if you want to place some other cards to make use of as well, including cards like our Rousing Breath Dragon, which can help to reduce the counterblast cost of our Vanguard with Flagburn in its card name. I also run the 4 copies of Inlet Pulse Dragon, one of the better grade 3s in the deck, just for its setup. On rear guard, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. If it was the first battle of this turn and your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon Flagburg, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit to give you multiple attacks as well, just for the use of a Soul Blast, saving your counterblasts for cards like either Shelling Cannon or Flagburg Dragon. And on rear guard at the end of your turn, if the total number of attacks this turn was 4 or more, put it into your soul and draw a card, setting up more soul power for you to use for your other Inlet Pulse Dragons, but also being able to make use of the soul buildup to draw cards to be able to guard against your opponent's attacks during the following turns. For the grade 2s, not a big grade 2 count we wanted to save for the grade 3 lineup, and then just the added grade 1s that we provide in the deck as well. 4 copies of Tier Knight Eric's, one of the better grade 2s I would say for the deck. And with this card, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard. If it is the second battle of this turn and you have a stood Vanguard with Flagburg and its card name, Soul Blast 1, stand this unit and it gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. So meaning you can then attack with this card into your opponent's Vanguard if they didn't get a trigger, with added pressure of another attack that just needs a Soul Blast to be able to do so. I also run the 1 copy of Tide Line Dragon. On rear guard, once per turn, if you Persona Road this turn, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your other units, and that unit gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. And with this play, you have more of a setup with your Vanguard then being able to attack with an additional pressure, choosing one of your other units. So with that card, you have the Persona Ride power of your Flagburg Dragon on top of this card. I only run the 1, though. It's a little more situational because you want to have some of the other rear rearguards be able to set up your multiple attacks that you want to be able to do with the deck. For the grade 1s, I run 4 copies of Prized Trident. When your other unit attacks, if it's the 5th battle this turn or more, put this unit to your soul and countercharge 1. So this helps with just all the counterblasting that you do in the deck. You want to be able to have other ways to be able to make up for those counterblasts. So being able to also just put this card into your soul to give you more of a soul buildup for cards like Inlet Pulse, and just another way to provide a countercharge. You can also just boost with this card, having it already provided the boost to another unit before you place into the soul to countercharge. Also running the 4 copies of Tier Knight Arianthe on the rearguard once per turn. If you have Vanguard with Flagburg in its card name, counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, choose a grade 3 or less card from your drop, call it to rear, and it gets +5 until end of turn. So you can grab cards like your Shelling Cannon Dragon, your Inlet Pulse Dragon, you name it, a wide variety of different cards for you to be able to use to call out to the rearguard, giving you the multiple attacks as well, just with a once per turn option of the setup that this card can provide, because there is a chance that your rearguards will get retired or at least used for other setup. So then you can use cards like Arianthe to at least be able to call them back onto the field. The newer card from set 12 that we run is the Wave Crest Brave Shooter. When the unit's placed on rearguard, counterblast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Flagburg and its card name, or 1 Ascendant Assault from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you do not reveal a card, countercharge 1. So it makes up for the counterblast that you would use with this card, but just another way to search out our main go-to Persona Ride power in the deck as well. And at the end of the battle, you can boost it. If it's the 4th battle of this turn or more, you may put it into the soul for more soul build-up power, but just a really good searcher to rely on the deck to grab our main grade 3. I also run 2 copies of Rousing Breath Dragon from the back row center rearguard during the 5th battle or more of this turn. All the original auto abilities in your Vanguard or Flagburg is reduced by 1 counterblast. So if you can move your Shelling Cannon Dragon out of the way, which you can easily do with its own card skill, you can then place your Rousing Breath Dragon to make up for any other counterblast that you might need to use in the deck as well. And also, the rest of the grade 1s consist of the 1 Elementaria Sanctitude and the 3 copies of Custodial Dragon, just for the Sentinel lineup to be able to guard against the triple attack power, and then also just be able to save resources in your hand with Custodial Dragon. And also the 1 copy of Gradius Cradell on top of the grade 3s to be able to have more of a Persona Ride option with no soul buildup, but still just an order to use, since we don't really run too many other orders in the deck. And for our trigger lineup, we're going with the 7 critical. I wanted to go for more of an aesthetic theme with the, Flagburg setup being very similar to Aquaforce. So I'm running the 4 copies of Tier Knight Costas for the theme setting of this trigger. And the same can be said if you wanted to run the Serene Maiden Lena draw, you can always put that in. Otherwise, I have the Scattered Strike Brave Shooters as just another spot to fill for the draw triggers fitting the Admiral C lineup, with our heals filling the same spot with Battle Siren Dorcia for the heal trigger spot. And our over trigger, I'm going with Valnute. I've been testing it out. I just like the added option to be able to call out a rearguard to get an additional attack, since Flagburg is normally our last go-to attack in the deck. If we don't have any other option, or if our opponent is able to block the attack, we at least have this over trigger to either go for another rearguard attack or to push through with our Vanguard. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just updating many of the different decks that I have for Vanguard with the new format changes. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.